Dear viewers, the following story is getting more and more interesting and hotter. Charlie has a meal with Pollard and Melba. Pollard misunderstands Melba's sexual orientation and asks Charlie to find her a match. Meanwhile, Charlie kidnaps Xin and admits it to Zhangchen. Enraged, Changfeng accuses the Wade family. Roma reunites with Ruoli, who survived thanks to Charlie. Charlie then offers a partnership to the He family with enhancing pills to secure their loyalty.
Chapter 2736. Charlie smiled slightly and said seriously, "It's all right, is it fitting this time?" Melba blushed and nodded. This time the Un3R wear really fits perfectly. But she was not too embarrassed to say it directly. As a result, she could only lower her eyelids slightly, and said unnaturally, "Mr. Wade, can you please calculate the total amount of money spent? I will definitely pay you back when I get the opportunity." Charlie waved his hand. "Between you and me, you don't have to be so polite. I am also your future boss, so I will treat it as an introductory gift for you." Melba was even more embarrassed and thought to herself, "It's okay to give clothes as a gift, but Silk Street 0C Kings and Un3R wear. What kind of thing?" But after another thought, if she no longer struggles, this matter will be over now, but if she has to return the money to Charlie, then this matter is equivalent to it's not over yet. With such an embarrassing thing, she just wanted to turn it over as soon as possible, and didn't want to have any sequels. So she quickly said gratefully, "Since Mr. Wade has said so, then I won't be polite to you." After speaking, she quickly turned around and hid the clothes at the same time. Before, she lowered her head and returned to her seat. At this time, Pollard opened the door and said with a smile, "I went to see it, I really don't know what to choose. Mr. Orvel recommended a few special dishes, but I'm not sure if it suits your appetite." Charlie smiled and said, "The food here tastes good. If you feel really unappetizing, you can order something else." As he said, Orvel walked in with 4 bottles of 30-years-old Moutai liquor in person, respectfully. Said, "Master Wade and Professor Watt, you two will drink these 4 bottles first, and I will bring more if you don't have enough." Pollard hurriedly said, "Oh, Mr. Orvel, I don't have that much alcohol. When I was young, I could drink a caddy or so, and now it's 6 or 7 tails. What's more, this Moutai has a high degree. Just half a caddy." Orvel said with a smile, "Professor Watt, although this alcohol has a high alcohol content, but you can't stop drinking it, you can open it up and drink a few more glasses." Pollard was in a particularly good mood, and continued to say, "Okay. Then drink a few more glasses." Charlie heard that he took the initiative to pour a glass of white wine for Pollard and for himself, and then ordered Orvel, "Mr. Orvel, you can prepare some drinks for Miss Watt." Orvel just about to get it, Pollard said at this moment, "Melba, Charlie is your savior, you can drink some too," just to serve him a few cups. Melba hesitated, then nodded and said, "Okay. Dad." Charlie said hurriedly, "Melba hasn't taken a good rest yet, so let's just let Orvel get a bottle of red wine." Orvel hurriedly said, "Okay Master Wade, I'm going now." Melba looking at Charlie gratefully, she said, "Mr. Wade, I will use red wine to respect you later." Charlie smiled, "We are the same generation, so don't be so polite between us in the future, just call me with the name, it will be fine." Melba nodded lightly, and said, "From now on, I will call you President Wade at work, and I will call you by your name in private." Charlie smiled slightly and said nothing. After Orvel delivered the red wine, Pollard picked up the wine glass and said to Charlie, "Charlie, this girl of mine is my only blood. I will offer you a glass with Melba, thank you for your life-saving grace." Charlie quickly stood up, picked up the glass, and said, "Uncle is serious, don't say thank you, it's all in the wine." Pollard immediately said, "Yes. It's all in the wine, come on, let me do it first regards." Pollard is indeed very happy today. The only daughter not only escaped the danger, but also returned to him safely. What's more important is that after this time, she must be more aware of the dangers in the world, and will no longer blindly pursue some unrealistic ideals as before. And the daughter has also promised Charlie that she will stay to help him, which means that he can live with his daughter in the safe and comfortable city of Aurous Hill for a long time. When he is happy, he'll naturally drink a few more glasses. After 3 rounds of drinking, Pollard became a little drunk. He thanked Charlie for everything, and finally focused on his daughter. He looked at his only daughter with a 3-point drunk and 7-point favor, and exclaimed, "Melba, you and Charlie are both about the same age, but Charlie has been married for 4 years. You should pay more attention to personal issues, right?" Melba drank a small bottle of red wine. Although she was not drunk, her pretty face was already a little red. Hearing that Dad suddenly started to care about her lifelong events again, she said embarrassedly, "Dad, don't worry about this kind of thing. There are so many friends around me who are still my age, for further studies in school. It doesn't matter if you are married in your 30s. As she said, she suddenly remembered the lie she had told her father, and quickly said, let me talk about my situation. Didn't I tell you everything?" Pollard looked at her, paused for more than 10 seconds before finally sighing, and said with emotion, "Even if you like girls, is it not time to find a girlfriend at this age?" Melba didn't expect that her father would say these words in Charlie's face. She suddenly felt extremely embarrassed and made a stop, trying to find a way how to answer. Charlie suddenly remembered what Pollard had told him before, that the girl Melba was indeed very rebellious, and her sexual orientation was somewhat different from that of ordinary girls. Thinking of this, the first thing that came to Charlie's mind was the other 2 female hostages he saw in Hamid's custody, in Syria. So he blurted out and asked, "Melba, Syria, you had 2 other female companions, was one of them your other half?" Melba heard this, and the whole person was stunned for a few seconds. After a long pause, she came back to her senses and said in shame, "Mr. Wade, what are you talking about? Those are my classmates, how could there be my significant other?" She didn't expect that Charlie was relieved when he heard this, and said with emotion, "Oh, it's fine if you don't have, it's fine if you don't." Pollard was bored with a glass of wine at this time, and then raised his hand in the air. Signed and said, "In fact, Dad has also seen it now. Now this society, this situation is very common. In many countries, they can already legally marry, including the United States. If you find another one you like, you can get your marriage certificate in the United States." Melba was extremely embarrassed and said quickly, "Oh, I think you must have drunk too much, you can drink less." "I didn't drink too much," Pollard said seriously. "In fact, these words have been held in my heart for a long time. I have always wanted to tell you that I just didn't find a chance. You just came back safely today. I have to take this opportunity to talk to you. Talking from my heart." Without waiting for Melba's reply, he continued, "What Dad really hopes is that you can be happy and healthy, not that you have to live the way I want you to live. Life is short, just follow, and live in your own favorite way." Speaking of this, he poured himself a glass of wine, drank it in one sip, and then said, "Dad has also paid attention to some foreign girls who are in the same situation as you during this period. I find that their lives are also very happy. Blessed with happiness, they have also received the understanding and support of their friends and family members. Some have even been legally married and live together in an open and honest manner. There are even many couples in this situation who choose to use the test tube method to reproduce their offspring. I think this is also the case. A very good solution that can not only meet your mate selection needs, but also allow you to continue your blood, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, what do you think?" Melba's expression is already dumbfounded. She really didn't expect that her father had always thought that her sexual orientation was towards girls. In fact, it was just a period of rebellion, used to deal with and prevaricate Dad's rhetoric. At that time, her father always wanted to make her fall in love and marry earlier, so he would often help her find some high-achieving students of the same age in the school where he worked, and even some of his proud disciples. But at that time, Melba did not have the nature of falling in love at all. Half of her mind was learning, and the other half of her mind was used to keep the world in mind. She often participated in various environmental protection and anti-war propaganda activities and even personally met a few friends. Went to Syria to make anti-war films. At that time, it was the pinnacle that she was blinded by hypocritical universal values. She received higher education in the West, so she felt that the universal value of the West was the key to saving the entire world and even the entire human race. Westerners call for environmental protection and energy saving every day, but the per capita electricity consumption in the United States is 3 times that of China. With a population of 5% in the world, the United States consumes 25% of the world's oil and creates 25% of the world's greenhouse gases. Young Americans promote anti-war and peace throughout the world every day, without knowing that their country is the real global war machine. However, after experiencing the disaster in Syria, Melba finally woke up. She finally understood that the premise of being world-minded is to first figure out what the real world looks like. Right now, the Chinese people are down to earth, live and work in peace, make every effort to make their lives better, and at the same time never take the initiative to send troops to attack other countries and provoke disputes. This is the real universal value. Seeing this clearly also made her a little bit more understanding of her father's previous bitterness. At this moment, Pollard looked at Charlie and asked, "Charlie, your uncle doesn't have many acquaintances in the city. You have been here for a long time. If you have a suitable girl by your side, you can introduce her to Melba." Charlie nodded, not knowing how a face came to mind, so he said seriously, "Uncle, I know a nice girl. She has a personality similar to Melba. Her name is Zhiyu, Melba, and Zhiyu. The names look pretty good." "Good thing," Pollard, who was already drunk, asked hurriedly, "Does she like girls too? If so, just let me know. Introduce them and let them meet each other." Charlie embarrassedly and said, "I don't know this to tell the truth. I didn't have the opportunity to ask her." "Okay," Pollard nodded and said, "then you must take it seriously ahead of time. Thank you so much." Melba did not expect that her father had started to make Charlie introduced her to a girlfriend. She garnered unparalleled courage and said, "Dad, there are actually things I did not tell you clearly." Pollard was suddenly startled after what he already knew about his daughter, and asked nervously, "Is there something more explosive to tell me, Melba? Although your father is not very old, his heart can't be too strong. Can you tell your dad what is going on?" Melba lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Pollard. She explained in shame, "In fact, I don't really like girls." Hearing what Melba said, Pollard never recovered. He blurted out subconsciously and asked, "Don't like girls? You don't like girls, can you still like boys?" Melba didn't expect that her father would look shocked when he heard this answer, and couldn't help asking, "Dad, then what do you think I should like, boys or girls?" Pollard immediately beamed, and said happily, "From the perspective of being a dad, of course, I still like men. For you, a child in the future is better." After finishing speaking, he hurriedly looked at Charlie and blurted out, "Charlie, forget the girl named Zhiyu. Please see if there are suitable young talents around you. If there is one, introduce them to Melba." Charlie smiled slightly, nodded, and said, "Okay, I will pay more attention when the time comes." Melba said with an awkward expression, "Dad, I have no plans in this regard. For the time being, Mr. Wade risked rescuing me from such a danger. I always have to focus on work first, and wait 2 years for love affairs." Pollard said with a smile, "Oh, as long as you say that you like boys, then my heart feels more comfortable. Wait for 2 years and wait for 2 more years, Dad is not in a hurry." After that, he poured a glass of wine in a hurry, and said to Charlie, "Come Charlie, have a drink with Uncle. Today is really double happiness is here." Charlie naturally knew why Pollard was so happy, smiled and picked up his glass, and said, "Since Uncle is happy, then I will drink a few more glasses." He was drunk after pushing the cup for the next fill, and so, by the time meal was almost finished, he was already confused. Seeing that the food was almost eaten and the wine was almost drunk, Charlie said to Melba, "Melba, it's been nice to be here today. I will ask Orvel to send you and Uncle home, and you will have a good rest when you go back." Melba nodded lightly, and asked, "Mr. Wade, do you have time tonight? I want to invite you to dinner alone to express my gratitude." Charlie waved his hand, "Forget it today, you should take a good rest for 2 days. In 2 days, let's make an appointment again. By the way, we will also have a good talk about the preparations for the development of the ocean shipping business." Melba said, "That's it, I'll wait for your message." Pollard said drunkenly at this time, "Charlie, you are really a noble person. In the future, you, or the ocean shipping company, have any use of your uncle, just speak." Charlie nodded and smiled, "Okay Uncle, don't worry, I will have to trouble you in the future." Pollard immediately retorted, "What is the trouble? How can this be the trouble? But Melba will have to trouble you a lot in the future. Take care, This child is smart or clever and has a lot of knowledge, but because she lacks social experience and reality, I am afraid that she has a high eye and a low hand, so you should not take care of her too much in the future. If she does well, you can say and do more." Charlie laughed. "Uncle, I believe Melba certainly deliver." Pollard laments, "That is better and better." Quote. Then, after looking at Charlie, didn't know which of the tendons didn't match up. He suddenly sighed, "Hey. You just got married too early, otherwise, if you could be my son-in-law, I won't have to worry about her." Quote. Melba blushed immediately, "Dad, what are you talking about?" Pollard chuckled twice, and said, "I drink too much, but I could sigh with emotion." Charlie said with a smile, "Since you are drunk too much, then I will send you back to rest first." After that, he called Orvel, let Orvel drive, and sent Pollard and Melba home. After Orvel drove away, Charlie felt a little worried. He didn't know if he should go home first or go to Shangri-La to take a rest. So, he called Isaac and asked him, "Old man, did Ruoli's mother leave?" Isaac hurriedly said, "Master, I just received a report from subordinates that Roma has already taken a helicopter to the airport. It is estimated that she can reach Aurous Hill in about 4 hours." Charlie calculated the time and said that it was fast even if it was more than 3 hours. There is no need to toss home again. After all, his wife must not be at home at this time. So he directly drove back to Shangri-La, planning to take a rest and wait for Roma's arrival. At the same time, Changfeng had waited for Zin's response, and he was more or less drumming in his heart. It stands to reason that Zin went to see Ito Yuihiko this morning, and now it is time for lunch. No matter whether his talks with Ito Takehiko goes well or not, he should always report to him on the progress. So he took out his phone and called Zin. A cold reminder came from the other end of the phone. "Sorry, the user you dialed has been turned off." Changfeng's heart suddenly slammed. "That's awful." He blurted out, "Zin is probably in an accident." The butler Anson hurriedly took out his mobile phone and said, "I'll call the young master's man." After speaking, the mobile phone immediately dialed out. A prompt of shutdown came soon. His expression changed and he made several calls in a row, but the result was the same. So he said nervously, "Master, all 4 of them are turned off." Changfeng shuddered and blurted out, "It's over. It's over. He must have fallen into the hands of others just like Shoud." Anson asked nervously, what is the big man in Aurous Hill? Could it be that the Wade family is doing a ghost in the back?" Changfeng frowned and said, "Hurry up and arrange for someone. Check to see if Zin left Shangri-La before his disappearance. If not, then the Wade family's hand is naturally the greatest. I must ask Zongquan to give me an explanation." "Okay, Lord." Anson immediately tried to find a way to find relationships, search for the trajectory of Zin. Soon, the results came back, and all aspects showed that Zin did not leave Shangri-La today. This made Changfeng furious immediately. He didn't expect that the Wade family would dare to directly attack his son. Moreover, since Zin was caught by the Wade family, so is Shoud 90%. Afterwards, he made a direct call to Zongquan. As soon as the phone was connected, Zongquan's voice came over. "Oh, why would Brother Su call me?" Changfeng directly cursed angrily, "Zongquan. Don't cooking be close to me, I'll ask you, about my son. Where is Zin?" Zongquan didn't expect Changfeng to swear as soon as he came up, and asked coldly, "What a joke. How do I know where your son is?" Changfeng gritted his teeth and said, "Stop cooking pretending and don't try to confuse me. Zin last night staying at your Wade family's Shangri-La hotel in Aurous Hill, he disappeared completely after getting up this morning. Who else did it if you didn't do it?" Zongquan was suddenly startled. He subconsciously asked, "Changfeng, take this seriously." Changfeng cursed, "Nonsense. How can I talk to your nonsense? If you don't give me an explanation for this matter, I will let you fight this old life. The Wade family will pay the price." Zongquan almost immediately concluded in his heart that this matter must have something to do with Charlie. However, he naturally couldn't speak directly to Changfeng, so he said, "Changfeng, I can swear to God what you said, I don't know anything. And I have never instructed anyone to do anything to your son. Since you said that the person disappeared in Shangri-La of my Wade family, then wait until I ask the specific situation first, and after I understand the specific situation, I will give you an explanation. Zhongquan hung up, and his first thought was to call Isik immediately and ask what was going on. Leon hurriedly asked, "Master, what happened?" Zhongquan sighed. Zin Su disappeared in Aurous Hill today, and he was in Shangri-La before he disappeared. Now Chengfeng called me to answer for the situation. I must first ask Isik what's going on. Leon was dumbfounded, and blurted out, "Zin is also missing. The second son disappeared a few days ago, and he was also in Aurous Hill, also living in a hotel, and he was gone." Zhongquan sighed. Xiao's thing is easy to say. Anyway, it was not missing on our site. Life or death has nothing to do with us, but Zin's situation is somewhat tricky this time. Anyway, people are here. He was in Shangri-La and he has gone. Once the Su family makes use of the question, we can't argue it. Leon turned his mind and said immediately, "Master, I think this matter is 80% related to Master Charlie." "Charlie?" Zhongquan blurted out. "Do you think Charlie did this?" Leon nodded and said seriously, "I think if this matter is really related to Isik, then Master Charlie must be behind the sword. Otherwise, even if Isik was given 8 courage, he would not dare to attack Zin." Zhongquan nodded slightly in agreement. After all, Zin is nominally the number 2 figure in the Su family. And Isik was a subordinate in the Wade family. Even in the subordinates, he can only be at a medium level. The difference in status, ability, and strength between the two are huge. How could Isik come up with such an idea? Therefore, the only possibility is Charlie. Thinking of this, Zhongquan couldn't help being a little big-head. He rubbed his temples and said with a sad expression, "Although I don't know Charlie very much, I still know his style very well. In my opinion, Charlie and his father are both good-looking. It's very similar, but the acting style is really completely different." Leon nodded and said in agreement, "The young master acted in the past, of course, he was far-sighted, vigorous, and energetic, but he was honest. In other words, there are also some who are too pursuing perfection, and caring too much about image and public opinion." Speaking of this, Leon couldn't help feeling, back then, even if others used all kinds of shameless tricks to deal with him, he still chose to fight back in an open and honest way, and he would never use the same method to return color. Zhongquan also sighed. Hey. So this was also Changying's shortcoming, he paid too much attention to the ideas of openness and integrity. It's okay to face ordinary opponents. With his superhuman ability, he could crush the opponent, but once the opponent is very strong and does everything he can, he loses his advantage and initiative. Leon nodded in agreement. At this time, Zhongquan said again, "But Charlie is completely different from his father. Charlie's style of acting is standard pragmatism, with a strong purpose. For him, all the driving force is to realize himself. For this purpose, his methods are also diverse and unrestricted. He can do whatever he wants. He is the kind of person that you provoke, then he will FCUK you, he must do you, and he knows very well that if he can't do you, for now, he will come back. Anyway, his purpose is one and it's to finish the work. Also, he doesn't have so many restraints and shackles in his eyes." Zhongquan laughed at this, and said, "For example, about him and Cynthia, Cynthia is his aunt, but that's so what? Cynthia didn't like him and didn't respect his marriage. When she went to Aurous Hill, she bypassed him and went to meet Elaine, arrogant Elaine, and intervened in the marriage. Charlie detained her and made her suffer in Aurous Hill." After saying that, Zhongquan shook his head and smiled with emotion. "Oh. Cynthia has lived for 40 to 50 years, and she has not suffered anything in these 40 or 50 years, and it is only a little bit." Zhongquan's expression became serious again as soon as his voice fell. His expression became serious again, and he said, "But Charlie is a little impulsive this time. Ah, how irrational it is to act directly on the Su family. The Su family's reputation is damaged and the ocean transportation is damaged, but other businesses are still operating normally. Acting directly against Zin, isn't this forcing the Wade family to start a war with the Su family?" Leon followed Zhongquan's words at this time and said, "Master, if there really is a war, it would be fine. Anyway, the Su family has always been our biggest opponent. Even though we have lived peacefully together for 20 years. Zhongquan waved his hand and said in denial, "Although it is said that, things can't be handled like this. We have conflicts with the Su family. To put it bluntly, it is the contradiction of money, the contradiction of interests, and the contradiction of status, but it is not a life and death contradiction. We should fight against the Sioux family, not by force. And we don't have any advantage in the military fight. The family members acted on as if they were in a hurry. The trouble would be great. He took out his cell phone and said, "I'll call Charlie first and ask what's going on." At this time, he took out his cell phone and said, "Charlie is meditating and resting in Shangri-La. Previously, he had consumed too much aura in Syria, which made him feel more or less mentally regressed, and he felt that he was not awake. He also wanted to follow the method mentioned in the 9 profound heavenly scriptures, and try to absorb the so-called heaven and earth aura from around him, but where are the heaven and earth aura in this modern metropolis with iron walls and brick rooms? Moreover, more than 10 meters below the ground are underground garages and foundations, with very little soil, and even the green trees are transplanted from the back. Such trees, even if they have a century-old age, are meaningless, because when these ancient trees are artificially transplanted, their aura has suffered a huge loss. When they are transplanted into cities, the soil is shallow and the pollution is heavy. It is good to be able to live. What kind of aura is there to help him? This feeling is like being thrown into the center of the Sahara Desert, with unobstructed bursting sunlight above his head, and endless dry desert under his feet. Even the moisture in the air has long been evaporated to the extreme. Isn't that a foolish dream to find water here? The phone rang, and he opened his eyes from disappointment. When he looked at the screen of the phone, his brows wrinkled. Zhongquan Wade. It seems that the old man is here to ask him questions. Charlie snorted and pressed the answer button. Charlie. Zhongquan's voice came. Charlie asked, "Is there something?" Zhongquan blurted out, "Charlie, tell the truth to your grandfather. Zin disappeared in Aurous Hill. Did you do the thing?" Charlie said indifferently, "Well, I did it, what's the matter?" Zhongquan really didn't expect Charlie to admit it so simply. This sudden magnanimity caught him by surprise. After a while, he subconsciously sighed, "Charlie, you are crazy." Charlie frowned, "Where am I crazy?" Zhongquan sighed, "You are crazy because you attacked Zin when you shouldn't. Think about it. He is the eldest son of the Sioux family. He disappeared in Shangri-La. Can we leave the Wade family aside?" Charlie asked, "What? Chungfeng asked you?" "Yeah," Zhongquan said with a sad face. "Chungfeng called and yelled at me and told me to fight the Wade family. You know, our two families have always spoken but didn't do anything. If we break the rules this time, the Sioux family would definitely retaliate wildly. We are also the party who is in the wrong, and it will be difficult to stand up at that time." Charlie smiled. "You called for this only." Zhongquan heard the disdain in Charlie's tone, and spoke very politely. Said, "Charlie, I know that you have a bad temper, and you are unwilling to bear it in many cases, but you still have to look at the overall situation. Now that you start with Zin, you can't cause any substantial damage to the Sioux family. This guy is completely affected by his dad. What's the point of tying him up? Instead, you gave the Sioux family a reason to target us." Charlie said indifferently, "I didn't do it for the Wade family. It is to let him pay the price for the anti-Wade alliance back then. When he targeted my father, I would target him now. Not only did I tie him up, but I would also take him to Waderist Mountain to the ancestor worship ceremony. Kowtowing at the parents' graves to admit their mistakes." Zhongquan was taken aback by Charlie's remarks, and blurted out, You are trying to force the Sioux family to fight us to the teeth. If that's the case, I would rather not hold an ancestor worship ceremony this year. And we must not start a war with the Sioux family now. We have already made the Sioux family very dissatisfied. As long as we wait patiently, the upper side will surely gradually put pressure on our family. It is equivalent to helping the Sioux family to divert the attention from above. When the time comes, the trouble will fall on us." Charlie sneered and said, "Master, don't be so scared, this matter is not what you thought. It's so complicated, and you can rest assured that I have sent Zin to Syria. No one can find him, and I won't let the outside world know his whereabouts, so it won't hurt you." Zhongquan said helplessly, "Charlie, why do you think the question is so simple? The person disappeared in Shangri-La. Even if you deal with it without showing any traces, we are still in 100 words guilty and responsible." Charlie smiled. "Master, the first question you asked me was what?" Zhongquan asked in astonishment. What? Charlie said, it's the first question you asked me when the phone was just connected. Zhongquan blurted out. I asked you about Zin's disappearance. Did you do it? Charlie snorted, and said casually, oh, it wasn't me. Ah. Zhongquan was speechless at once, and then said helplessly, Charlie, you are boring. Changfeng is not a kid either. If I tell him this, will he believe it? Charlie smiled and said, is there any way he doesn't believe it? Tell him, Mr. Zin Su has never been to Shangri-La. Isik naturally knew that Charlie asked him to invite Ruoli, who had been in Shangri-La for a long time. So he immediately reverently said, Master, wait a minute, I'll be back. Seeing Isik leave, Roma was astonished in her heart. She really couldn't figure out what kind of relationship she would have in common with the Wade family young master in front of her. After all, she saw him for the first time today, and she doesn't even know what his name is, let alone what kind of young master he is from the Wade family. However, she did not ask more. After all, she knew very well, as long as she waited patiently for a few minutes, the answer would naturally be revealed. At this moment, Ruoli was waiting anxiously in the room. Since Charlie decided to let her meet her mother, she has been waiting for her mother's arrival. However, he did not communicate with her the progress of the matter in real time, so she also didn't know when her mother could arrive in Aurous Hill either. Just when she was thinking about it, Isik rang the doorbell outside the door. Ruoli hurried to the door and opened it. As soon as she saw Isik, she couldn't help but blurt out and asked, Mr. Isik, is my mother here? Isik nodded slightly and said, Ms. He has arrived. Chatting with young master, he asked me to invite you over. Ruoli became excited and blurted out, then take me there. Isik said in a casual way, Miss Su, please come with me. They moved to Isaac's office. Along the way, Ruoli's heart, because of excitement, is beating faster and faster than normal. When she came to the door, the whole person was already a little uncontrollable. Before Isik opened the door for her, Ruoli couldn't wait to push the door in. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Roma sitting on the sofa, tears rolled down, and she choked up in her mouth, Mom. Roma stood still as though she was struck by lightning, on the spot. She subconsciously followed the prestige, and she realized that her daughter Ruoli, who was unsure of her life and death, and who had been thinking about her for a long time, was standing at the door. At this moment, she was so excited that she blurted out and exclaimed, Ruoli. It's really you. After speaking, she hurried to Ruoli's side, raised her remaining left arm, and stretched out her hand. Touched her face, choked up, and said, It's you Ruoli, my dear daughter. Mom, this is not a dream, right? Ruoli grabbed her mother's hand and cried. Said, Mom, you are not dreaming. It's really me. I'm not dead. At this moment, Roma's emotions were completely out of control, and she patted Ruoli's back. Leaving into her arms, she cried and said, Ruoli, it was so hard for Mom to find you. I thought I would never see you again in this life. Ruoli hugging her mother tightly with her hands, she cried sadly and said, Mom, I also thought that I would never have a chance to see you in my life, and I would never have a chance to be filial. After speaking, she looked not far away. She choked up and continued, Thanks to Master Wade's rescue in Tokyo, otherwise, I'm afraid I would have been executed long ago. Roma hurriedly turned around, looked at Charlie shocked and moved, and asked, Master Wade, you saved Ruoli. Charlie smiled slightly and said calmly, When the accident happened, I happened to be there. I took her back to China by boat, so I rescued her and brought her back. After speaking, Charlie said again, By the way, Ms. He, I kept Ruoli at Shangri-La during this period of time, and did not allow her to contact the outside world. I'm sorry to worry you for such a long time. Please don't think negative. Roma hurriedly said, Where are you saying, Master? You saved my only daughter. I'm grateful that you haven't had time. Why? It's a strange meeting. Roma suddenly realized that her daughter Ruoli seemed a little different from before. After practicing martial arts for many years, she noticed that Ruoli's aura is much more stable than before, and also faintly stronger, so she asked in surprise, Ruoli, your martial arts training has broken through. Ruoli nodded and said, Thanks to Master Wade's initiation, he helped me to completely open up the Ren vessel and let me succeed in it. In addition, I have been staying in the hotel room during this period of time, practicing hard and consolidating. So there has been considerable improvement in strength. Roma said dumbfounded. What? Your Ren vessel has been successfully established. Roma, who has practiced martial arts for half a lifetime, understands what it means to completely open Ren vessel. People have 8 channels of strange meridians, and those who can get through the 2 channels are already top-notch masters to ordinary people. If you can get through more meridians, that would definitely be a master of martial arts. But even a martial arts master who can get through half of the odd meridian in 8 channels, on average, can only get through 50 or 60% of each meridian. Moreover, for so many years, hardly anyone has ever heard of anyone who can completely open to the realm of Dacheng. In the past, the top masters of the He family did not have the opportunity to completely open up the Ren vessel, and at most, they were able to get through 80%. He was at the top of the pyramid of the entire He family for so many years. According to what he himself said, the reason why he was able to achieve such an achievement mainly relied on the 80% of the line of Ren. The Ren and Du meridians are the most basic of the 8 meridian channels. For martial arts masters who practice internal martial arts, these 2 meridians are equivalent to the 2 most important arteries in the human body. Their importance to the human body is equivalent to the 2 most important strategic transportation railways in a country. The greater the volume of these 2 railways, the stronger the country's combat readiness. In the event of war, such a large artery can transport 10,000 people a day, or 100,000 or 200,000 people a day, which will play a decisive role in the victory or defeat of the war. Therefore, there is a meridian that can reach an unobstructed degree of more than 80%. For martial arts masters, it is equivalent to having a very powerful strategic artery. Based on it, the strength of the whole person will be greatly improved. If this meridian can be completely successful, then the martial arts behind it can be said to be twice the result with half the effort. For so many years in the entire He family, there has never been a person with a great reputation, so Roma can't believe that such a huge breakthrough will happen to her daughter. So, she asked Ruoli with a look of shock, Ruoli, are you kidding with your mother? A person of Renmai Dacheng, I have never heard of it in my life. Ruoli unswervingly said, Mom, I didn't make a joke with you. Master Wade is a top master with great supernatural powers. After he helped me completely open up the Ren vessel, my strength has improved by leaps and bounds, and now my main vessel has continuously broken through 30%, now I am faintly breaking through the 40%. In the beginning, my Ren channel was only 40%, and the main channel was less than 20%. Roma subconsciously pinched Ruoli's vein with her hand, and then used internal force to explore it. After a while, her whole person's expression immediately became extremely shocked. Immediately afterward, she came back to her senses, released Ruoli, turned around to look at Charlie, and suddenly knelt on the ground with a thud, choked up, and said, The great kindness of Master Wade is unforgettable. Roma has been looking for Ruoli for so long. Although she has been reluctant to give up, she also vaguely felt that the chance of getting her daughter back was very slim. She had accepted the fact in her heart that her daughter was killed, but the core driving force generated by maternal love deep down in her heart urged her to continue to look for her, because this is her only sustenance. During this period of time, Roma felt that as long as her daughter is alive, no matter what price she pays, she can accept it. Even if her daughter is injured and paralyzed, she will be satisfied as long as the daughter is still alive. However, she didn't dare to dream about it. Not only did her daughter stand in front of her intact, she even made a huge breakthrough in her cultivation. This is simply a blessing in disguise, and it is a blessing in the sky because of that killing affair. The fact that Renmai is a great success is a height that countless martial arts masters dare not reach for a lifetime. Apart from anything else, Ren's pulse is great. At least Ruoli's cultivation base, at the original speed of cultivation, has stepped forward for 50 to 60 years. Even if she allowed her to practice for another 50 or 60 years, she might not be able to cultivate Ren channel to the fullest. Therefore, the daughter is so lucky, how can she, a mother, not be excited? It was the Wade family's young master who saved her daughter's life and allowed her to improve her cultivation by leaps and bounds. Therefore, deep in Roma's heart, she was even willing to use her life to repay Charlie's great kindness. Seeing Roma kneeling in front of him, Charlie was about to step forward to help. Ruoli also hurriedly followed her mother and knelt down. Mom knelt to grace for her. How could she stand? She knelt next to her mother and choked up and said, "Master Wade, if I can see my mother again, it is all due to your kindness. From now on, Ruoli is willing to follow you by your side and serve you with heart and soul." Ruoli said. When speaking, her heart is actually a bit selfish. She knew that Charlie was not the kind of person who bound her with kindness, so she was very worried that after Charlie let her meet her mother, he would directly ask her mother to take her away. Although Ruoli missed her mother, wanted to see her, and let her know that she was still alive, she did not want to go back to live with her mother. This is because she wants to be able to stay with Charlie in the future. On the one hand, it is indeed for repaying the gratitude, and on the other hand, it is only because she has already fallen in love with him. Moreover, she also knows very well that her status as an illegitimate daughter is not worthy of Charlie's status. Just like her mother Roma and father Zin back then, although they had feelings, they were ultimately divided into masters and servants. So she hoped that she could stay by Charlie like her mother was by her father's side. That's why she told Charlie that she was willing to stay by his side and follow him. When Roma heard this, she understood her daughter's choice in her heart. At this moment, she was struggling deep in her heart. She didn't know what her daughter was thinking. It's just that she recalled the ill feelings between herself and Zin, and then thought of the hardship of raising Ruoli alone. She was afraid that Ruoli would follow in her own footsteps in the future. If possible, she would never want her daughter to end up like herself. When there was a tingling deep in her heart, Charlie suddenly said, "Ruoli, I saved you at the beginning, and I didn't want you to reward me with your own life, so you don't have to follow me all the time in the future. You can completely change your head and start your own new life with a clean identity." Ruoli hurriedly shook her head and said, "Master, if I leave the current situation, if they know what I am, if I don't have you as my asylum, I am afraid that sooner or later, I will fall into the hands of the Japanese. I am afraid that no one in the world can protect me." Speaking of this, Ruoli whispered sadly, "So, if I hope to stay with Master, on the one hand, I can do something for you, and on the other hand, I also hope to continue to be protected by you, Master." Roma at that time, suddenly realized that her daughter and herself are actually quite different. Back then, as Zin's bodyguard, she had been serving Zin wholeheartedly. It can even be ignored that she dedicated her entire youth to him, and one arm was also dedicated to him. Then she gave birth to Ruoli for him, which is equivalent to devoting to him in disguised form in the second half of her life. But the daughter's difference is that this young master is her lifesaver. If her daughter stays with him in the future, it will not be her daughter's blind dedication. In this way, her life will naturally not be as sad as her own. So she hurriedly said, "Master Wade, if Ruoli has made a catastrophe in Japan, they will never let her go easily. You were able to rescue her from them, and you must be able to protect her well. She has been practicing hard since she was a child, and dare not say that she has the outstanding aptitude. She can be regarded as the upper middle grade among her peers. After you help her get through the line of Ren, her strength can definitely be regarded as the best among her peers in the country. With her by your side, she will definitely be able to help you solve many problems, so please keep her by your side." Charlie is also very clear in his heart, as long as the body of Ruoli is not found for a day, the Japanese will never give up. Once Ruoli's identity is exposed, she will definitely face the scourge of death. Therefore, staying by his side should be the best option for her. Moreover, Charlie also felt that he did lack some truly capable assistants. Whether Orvel, Isik, or other representatives of the Aurous Hill family, including Warnia, are ordinary people with little cultivation skills. Although Aoshui's current strength is good, she is still a little girl in school after all. He is sure, he can't let her do some fighting and killing things for himself. Therefore, keeping Ruoli and cultivating her into a confidant is also a matter of very practical significance to him. Ruoli not only has the strength but also could command dozens of masters when she was in the Su family. The ups and downs in Japan prove that she still has strong leadership ability. If she is asked to come forward and cultivate a strong force for him in the future, it will be of great benefit. Thinking of this, Charlie said, "Ruoli, since you are willing to stay by my side, you will be my person from today." From now on, you will follow my orders, and you will do your best to protect me and keep me safe. If you decide to leave one day, you can tell me honestly and bluntly that you don't want to stay here at that time, but you must keep in mind that before you leave formally, you can't do anything about it, don't eat anything, understand? Ruoli blurted out without hesitation. Please don't worry, master, as long as you don't dislike me, even if I leave this life, I will follow you after my death and never give up. Charlie assisted the mother and daughter to their feet, then turned to Roma and said, this time, Ms. He, you came to Aurous Hill to check on Ruoli's affairs. Please make every effort to keep it fully confidential. Keep it a secret from everyone, including the He family. Roma knows that the safest way to keep a secret is to not tell anyone, otherwise, if an opening is made, it can become known to outsiders in the future, no matter how small the opening is. Roma knows that if Ruoli is her own daughter, she will never show it to the outside world. The rest of the He family, on the other hand, is difficult to categorize. Her father, too, may not be absolutely trustworthy. As a result, she is naturally tight-lipped about her daughter's safety. As a consequence, she claimed emphatically, you may rest assured, master, I will keep my mouth shut on this. I'm not going to tell anyone after I leave this place. Mom, when are you going to leave? Ruoli inquired as soon as she heard this. I told your grandfather that I will go to Jiaodong Peninsula tomorrow to find your whereabouts, so I will go there tomorrow, Roma said after a moment's thought. Ruoli was distraught, holding Roma's one-armed body coquettishly in her arms like a little girl. Mom. Can't you stay with me for another day because you haven't seen me in a long time? Ruoli, of course, Mom wants to stay with you, don't say stay with you for one more day, even if I am here with you in the future, Mom is able to. Roma sighed and said seriously. Roma, speaking of this, said helplessly, but, everybody in the He family knows I've been searching for you for a long time. This time, I also told your grandfather that no matter what Master Wade says to me or what So says to me, I have to go to the Jiaodong Peninsula tomorrow to look for you. I'm afraid your grandfather would become suspicious if I unexpectedly stay in Aurous Hill and do not leave. While I have no doubt that your grandfather would not harm you, the He family has a tangled web of relationships and too many uncontrollable variables. And, despite the fact that we have broken with the Su family, I have always believed that they are secretly watching us. If they inform the Su family that you are still alive, it is possible that they will continue to pursue you. Ruoli's expression became resentful when she heard Roma mention the Su family, and she said coldly, Mom. Our He family has devoted many years to the Su family's business, but in the end, the Su family is not only uninterested in our old relationship, but also uninterested in my family, and even sold me to the Japanese self-defense force. I'll pay back this anger in the future. Roma, in the eyes of the Su family, we are the bodyguards they paid for. They were the servants of the nursing home in ancient times. They believed that as long as they provided us with money, we should be happy. We're desperate, and we're not deserving of their feelings, in their opinion. She spoke with a sigh and said, in terms of retribution, Mom recommends that you put it off for the time being. In any case, the Su family's power is unrivaled by the He family. In the future, you will obey Master. Just sit by Master Wade's side in the saddle, and don't think about getting vengeance on the Su family. Ruoli, red-eyed and choked, said, I'm not going to give up on vengeance. 3 and 5 years will not suffice, 3 and 5 years will not suffice, 10 and 8 years will suffice. With just 20 participants, it's practically impossible. Years, even decades, will pass before I make the Su family pay for all of this. Roma, it doesn't make sense for Mom to persuade you based on what's in your heart, but you must control your emotions. Your cultivation standard has reached a critical point. Don't let hate take over your life. What a demon can't achieve a thinking human can achieve. Ruoli gave a soft nod. At the time, Charlie said, you and Ruoli haven't seen each other in a long time, Ms. He, so you should go back to your room and relax. I'm sure you've got a lot to say to each other. I'm going to let you go. Have dinner, and if you need any additional assistance, please contact the service staff. Thank you, Master. Roma said with a small bow. Charlie said, with a small smile, by the way, Ms. He, if you're interested in the He family, we should talk about a potential collaboration. I'll recruit you to work with me at that time, removing the need for you and Ruoli to split. Ruoli on the side said excitedly, Roma did not talk. That's fantastic. Then you'll switch to Aurous Hill, Mom. Roma, if you just told me not to tell anyone about Ruoli, then I can't bring anyone from the he family over, and let her work together. However, if I am unable to carry any family members, I am a disabled person with restricted ability, and I am uncertain what I can do for you at that time. Ms. He, I understand what you mean, Charlie said with a small smile. However, in my view, this issue is not contradictory. After a brief pause, Charlie spoke up and explained, first and foremost, I am very interested in working closely with the He family. This cooperation is focused on me, you, and the rest of the He family, so you don't have to worry about Ruoli whether you support her or not. Even if the He family sends thousands of people to Aurous Hill with you in the future, they will have no idea who Ruoli is. Roma said with a slight nod, even though the entire He family has developed deep cooperation with you, Master, it is still impossible to inform the other family members of Ruoli's situation except for me. Is it okay if I view this way? No problem, says the speaker. With a smile, Charlie said, the He family has now broken away from the Su family and needs a steady source of income, so I'm considering broadening my sphere of influence. It's when people need to be hired, so I'm hoping he's be willing to work with me. Furthermore, the compensation I can offer to he is unquestionably something he will not be able to refuse. Roma politely bowed slightly and said, my father decides whether or not the He family can comply with you, so I'll take the liberty of asking you what kind of conditions you should give the He family. If it is more convenient for you, you will inform me directly, and I will forward your message to my father, who will make the final decision. What conditions did the Su family give you before? Charlie asked, laughing. Roma, every year, the Su family will pay the He family a fixed contract payment. The total sum is 600 million yuan, which is split into 50 million yuan monthly payments. In addition, there will be an event at the end of the year. There is an estimate to be made. If the He family performs the necessary number of tasks during the year, we will earn an additional 1 to 2 billion in bonuses. This is essentially the same as the basic salary plus success bonus model for jobs, Charlie said lightly. Yes, says the speaker. Roma, the He family could only do their best to support the Su family in the past in order to make more money. This is mostly due to the fact that there are immediate descendants of the He family who practice martial arts. More than 50 people live in the He household, and the different medicinal materials needed by so many people to practice martial arts account for more than half of their income. If we break up with the Su family after the accident, they will instantly stop paying us in cash, including the last payment. The monthly payment of $50 million was not repaid. During this time, the He family's financial condition worsened, and everyone's cultivation development was seriously hampered. When Charlie heard this, he raised his brows and inquired, Ms. He, may I inquire, what kind of medicinal materials do you need for cultivation? Master, our He family's internal boxing system has a relatively large demand for temperature and medicinal materials. Roma said in response to Charlie's query. It is primarily composed of qi-invigorating drugs, as well as medicinal materials for body strengthening, such as ginseng, Ganoderma lucidum, velvet antler, and Cordyceps sinensis. Some Chinese herbal medicines used for bathing medicinal baths are primarily responsible for body strengthening. Our family has 2 prescriptions, one is called Bukizin, and the other is called Zentel. Bukizin is made of precious medicinal materials such as ginseng and Ganoderma in a unique way, and the traditional Chinese medicine made by boiling will replenish qi, blood, and internal force after oral administration, so as to enhance the internal force and enhance meridia, Roma said. As for the Zentel, it's a decoction made from a variety of Chinese herbal medicines that people soak in to strengthen their bones and muscles and improve their overall strength. Then how much does your entire family spend on medicinal materials each month? Charlie inquired. In the past, our investment was at its peak, at least 20 to 30 million yuan every month, Roma hurriedly explained. Basically, we can guarantee that every member of the martial arts family will receive a pair of Bukizin powder and a pair of Xantel powder every month, or even 2 to 3 pairs if the body decoction is a key training object. However, since the family's financial condition is a little stretched, Roma sighed and said, my father temporarily cut off much of the investment in medicinal materials because the family's financial situation is a little stretched. At the moment, the family's approximate monthly cost of medicinal materials is about 3 to 5 million yuan. Most family members with ordinary qualifications can no longer receive medicinal materials. There are only a few main training items, which they can scarcely use, but the medicinal materials are also greatly discounted, and the medicine's effectiveness is naturally weakened. How is the effect of your two medicinal materials? Charlie inquired once more. In fact, even if the medicinal materials are not discounted, the effect is not very strong, Roma said helplessly. Mainly because the effects of the prescriptions we use are relatively average, and the loss of medicinal materials is great. People may see immediate results, but for those who already have a certain training base, the effect can only be said to be average. When it comes to prescriptions, I happen to have a pill that can improve the body's internal and external power. I personally think it's very healthy, but I'm not sure if it's appropriate. The inner heart of your family, Madam He, you can try this medication with Ruoli, Charlie said peacefully. Charlie drew 2 blood-saving, heart-saving pills from his pocket as he spoke. This type of pill isn't particularly important to him. He can refine it in vast amounts if he needs to. This type of pill has little effect on someone like Charlie, but it has a great effect on ordinary citizens. If someone suffers from hemiplegia and hyperiplegia, both of which can be treated with this medication. Ordinary people can significantly enhance their physical health by taking it, which has the benefit of extending lifespan to some degree. This drug possesses remarkable medicinal properties. Internal strength is certainly a panacea that you can't even think of for martial arts practitioners like Roma and Ruoli. It can not only strengthen the body and strengthen the meridians, but it can also significantly enhance internal strength. Like Aoshui initially relied on a blood-saving, heart-saving pill, and her strength quickly improved in a short period of time. She went from being well behind Ito Nanako to overtaking her with just only 1 pill. This demonstrates how effective this type of effect can be on ordinary martial artists. The power of Ruoli and Roma can be seen by Charlie. Even though they are at the top of the martial arts family, they are still poor, and they can't even make it to the table. As a result, the effect of the He family's medication tonic method must be small, and it may not even exceed 1/1000th of that of the blood-saving heart-saving pill. As a result, he had a strategy in his head. Didn't the Su family previously use the money to purchase the He family? Then I'm going to change my course today. To profoundly bind He family, I will use money as a complement and medicine as the mainstay. Doesn't the family want to cultivate more masters? How can it give you 10 billion a year with your current system alone? Even if I let the people eat ginseng every day, how about it? Using that method of stacking medicinal materials, in any case, the effect is certainly not as good as my blood-saving heart-saving pill. After personally witnessing the effects of the blood-saving heart-saving tablets, I believe the He family will certainly regard it as a normal. At that time, all I have to do is give the He family a few pills every year, and the entire He family will be desperate to follow me. Roma is also unaware of Charlie's feelings.